Alec, welcome back to the Islands of Fire. Survivor Vanuatu is here.
I mean, it's been here, and it's really here now. We're
Yes.
really things are
What
moving.
a doozy that last episode was.
That
One for
was
the history books.
it's what we've been waiting for. It's what I've been waiting for this whole time, and I'm so thrilled that it finally happened.
Look,
And
you had harsh words for some of these people. Do you change your mind on any of the words you said before about Twyla in the past? You said she's making the wrong calls here. Do you
I,
think? Do you think now that was the good opportunity to strike? And it's like,
I think now this if they hadn't struck now, then the game it'd be much harder to play the game. I think this was the best call for her. I think
it was just so impressive that the wherewithal to like not only say like distance yourself from the fact that she's been irritated with Eliza the whole game and be like she's the key and acknowledge that she's the key, but also acknowledge that she can't be the one to get her, so she'll tell Chris like this is the
yeah,
person you need to talk to. I'm like,
so great.
so
And
yeah,
Chris has been somebody I've been rooting for this whole time. I think he had this sort of this master plan kind of from the beginning, and it's sort of fallen through as time has gone on. And it's just been really exciting seeing him just try to roll with the punches and figure stuff out.
it's been great to watch. And I mean, Amy's whole power structure has been upended. You know, this is
Yeah,
like she went from the top of the power rankings to the bottom. Now your power rankings last time were Twyla, Scout, Chris, Eliza, Julie, Amy. But previously Amy had been the top, like pretty much nonstop.
yeah, they upheaved it.
It's tough, but it's like a classic case of overconfidence, right? We've seen it in the past where like you get comfortable at the top, and when there's not so much adversity, it's like it's hard to even know what it's like not being on the top.
Right, when there's no obvious adversity, you can think that you just have command of the game when there's a lot of rumblings beneath.
Yeah, and you kind of you lose sight of what things you should be working on, like these relationships. It's like, oh, I don't have to worry about them because they're gonna be gone if we just keep going down this line. So I don't need to
Yeah,
care about these people on the bottom. I got my people at the top, and then it's like, but suddenly, like the person, your right hand woman gets voted out, and then it's
yeah.
like, well, now your game plan is we got to see what she's gonna come up with here, because this is the true test.
And scouts got a bone to pick now because she realizes that she's been ousted. So that in and of itself, I think, is reason enough for her to be like, all right, I'm not long for this game. Let's let's cause some chaos
Well, this
here.
is almost like the perfect moment for them to flip, where these women that were always on the bottom are suddenly like somewhere near the top.
Yeah, yeah.
There's like just the right amount of numbers to where they could potentially control it here, but I mean anything can happen. Because I mean there are relationships between a lot of them now. They all have these different relationships. Amy seems to be the odd woman out here. That's gonna really have to make something happen here. But
To me, it just is. It is odd that it's like the whole thing. It almost seems like the whole thing was predicated on women relationships have never lasted throughout Survivor, and it's like, okay, but a lot of times that's because the game's more complicated than making some sort of statement, some sort of social statement about things. The game, you have to take into consideration that people are the main factors at play here, men and women. It's like it takes all kinds. So it's like it's interesting because it was divided along that way. But
yeah, so
yeah,
she probably always thought that like
yeah,
from watching the game, she's like, oh, I want to show that we can make an all women's alliance last.
yeah,
But
yeah,
then the fact that they were divided, it's like almost cemented it further. It's like, okay, now's the time to do it
yeah.
when the women can have the numbers and just run the train through the game.
But the thing is like not maintaining the relationships with the women who, in your mind, are lower on the pecking order.
Mhm.
That will kill you eventually.
Even though it seemed like Amy always made a conscious effort to keep in good graces with Eliza more than a lot of the others.
With Eliza, but like, yeah, but less so. At least less that we've seen with like Scout or Twyla.
But I
So
mean, it was enough. There was enough out there to where they were able to swing Eliza over. Like,
yeah,
she was still considered. She knew she was on the bottom, and she was still considered on the bottom, despite Amy being
yeah,
a little more approachable to her.
yeah.
But it'll be interesting to see how someone like Julie will react as well, because Julie's on the outs with this vote too. I mean, Julie and Amy are the only two left outside of that vote.
Yeah.
So, and Julie does have these relationships with all of them that are there. So it'll be
she's been the social kind of butterfly, I would say, for the most part.
It'll be interesting seeing her reaction, and then seeing what will Amy do when the glorious leader is like on the absolute, from the absolute top to the absolute bottom. That's such a hard transition to make when you set yourself up the whole game from the top spot. Like, what can you do when you have to grovel with the peasants, you know? And it's like, oh, well, we don't want to work with you, the leader.
Well, we'll have to see with the episode. So
yeah,
I mean, there was
plenty of other
interested.
things. By the way, Leanne got voted out. We didn't even mention her name.
So Leanne got voted out.
Was the one that got voted out. She was almost the proxy for, since Amy had immunity. Leanne was the one to go for here.
Yeah, for sure.
At this critical,
there was some 1-to-1 talk with Loved One, and then it was actually it wasn't over a camera. It was like, oh, they're there, like, for real. So
Eliza's mom did give her the shirt off her back. I mean, there's a lot going on. But, so Leanne was like, if Amy hadn't won that immunity, I mean, it was almost surely going to be her voted out there. But I feel like Leanne would have been a similar position. You know, either way, you'd have the one left out here.
For sure.
And Julie blindsided as well. So we'll see how we go from here. All right, if you want to see the highlights of our reaction, click the link in the description and then come back afterwards for the discussion. All right.
Like, damn, I've never heard like
to hear it.
I've never heard like a straight up threat. Well, okay, Rudy. That's not true. Rudy. I know some people.
And Hunter is like, well, they won't survive.
Yeah, Hunter was like, yeah, you guys aren't gonna live without me. I mean, that's not that's just a statement of what he thought was fact. That's not like, I'm gonna I would just love to hold her underwater for 2 minutes. I'm like, what is wrong with you?
Kind of
deranged,
hot, though, right?
No.
All right.
I'm not into asphyxiation. I'm sorry.
That was episode 12 of Survivor Vanuatu. We're getting to the end game here, and Amy, she was upended last time and then snuffed out right here. Her comeuppance, you could say.
The final. So I have to see what Julie seems to be the last one in that little trio who had very little to say this episode.
That's crazy. Did she say a single word?
I think she said she had a couple of statements, but there wasn't a confessional or anything with her.
That's wild. So
it was weird.
The complete opposite reaction to Amy, where Amy was like, well, Amy, the pressure was on because she was obviously going to be the next one. But she kind of
lashed out. Yeah, she sort of lashed out at everyone. And she was just being really
trying her hardest because she was it was time
trying to work her magic on Eliza, but Eliza recognized that the tie would be a mistake. So
yeah, we can talk about that. I mean, Julie, first of all, I don't know if it's a strategy of hers to just like take it easy as a response, or if she just was in such shock that she didn't even know what to do.
I know. Well, it did seem like when they went back to the camp at the beginning of the episode, she didn't say much because she was just in total I don't know what to do mode. My whole world came crumbling down because people that I had allied myself with are now upended completely.
Maybe we'll see a bit more of a feisty Julie next episode because the pressure will now be on her, I guess. But
yeah,
I don't know.
But it looks like Twyla's getting feisty.
Her dark side will come.
Her dark side comes out. Well, I mean, I think she's just pissed off because everyone's just is using the swore on her son's life thing.
Well, yeah, let's talk about this, okay? So
okay, let's go into let us go into this.
Big deal. Amy lost. She's like, I lost all respect for Twyla, and she swore on her son's life. And then that was ultimately What she was holding over Twyla's head till the end there,
Yeah.
but
Well, I think that's within reason. I think, right? You take something and somebody says, "Oh, I swear on something that's the most important thing to me in the world." It kind of is existing outside the game itself,
mm-hmm.
and saying that like you swear on that, that you know.
Well, for me,
But
swearing on things, like I wouldn't have a problem swearing on anything because it really doesn't mean that much to me. But
I am basically the same way as you, especially I would say in general.
in a game,
I try not to do that because it's just there's a it's very it's heavy to kind of do that. Like it's just kind of a weird thing to do. It's an old thing, like very old. Like
mm-hmm.
that's goes back to like early human civilization. That's when we would make promises like that, right? But yeah, especially in this context, yeah. What is it? It really doesn't mean a whole lot. Like
but the problem
to. It's the interesting dance you have to sort of play with the social dynamics of this game, because when you're saying that, how do you know you can trust somebody? Is it based on all the past relationships that you've had with that person? Is it that you genuinely take them to be like, they're not the kind of person that would do that lightly? And I mean, I don't think she is the person that would do that lightly. I think she just said what she felt like she needed to say to have them believe her.
I mean, it's a very strategic thing to do, where it's like you're known as the one, like you're always talking about how much you love your son, so you swear on your son. You're not gonna lie about that. Johnny Fairplay's grandmother passes away.
Yeah.
He swears on his grandmother's grave or whatever, and he's not gonna lie about that. His grandmother just passed away, right? So they take some weight to that. The problem when you like hold it up as a sacred thing, like, oh, you swore on your family, so you have to stick to that forever. Like, the problem with that is then you're just gonna have, whenever you promise anything, you're gonna be like, okay, we'll swear on your son's life then.
Yeah.
And then it's like, well, I don't want to do that. Okay, you're lying. Cool. It's good to know.
Yeah, that is it. Once you and that's again, that's another sort of problem that I have with just using that a concept in general is, I mean, like, well, are you going to swear on his life again? Kind of thing. And it's like,
why would I take a normal swear and you just like, swear on his life? If you're actually telling the truth, no problem. Just swear on his life, and then you just do it every time, and it's like, well, If then
that devalues the meaning of it, which is like why. But you just take the concept, just tell, like, and I'm talking about this in life, not in this game. Tell the truth. Or at least don't lie, so that you don't have to go on into such an extreme to be like, I swear on, and it's like, well, no, if truth is just naturally comes out of your mouth, or at least you don't lie to people, so you don't go out of your way to maybe withhold truth. And it's like, and
Twyla probably could have accomplished the same thing without using her son's life, right? She could have
possibly
just been like, I'm with you guys.
And I think a lot of it is like pressure, right? Like she feels like maybe she's in the situation where she has to say something like that in order for it to carry as much weight, because she's on the outs, or
Mm-hmm.
It's interesting.
I mean, we had this reward challenge where Amy, Chris, and Eliza win. And so it was Amy, Chris, and Eliza together, and then Scout, Julie, and Twyla together. And then Amy, this was her like last plea, basically. And everybody in the game acknowledges that her one out is good for Eliza here. And that was
she tried.
It was up in the air the whole time. But so her argument was that you need to break up Scout and Twyla. That's basically all she had. But then Chris, which I thought was even a more interesting counterpoint, is that like no, we go to the final. We stick with the final four as a guarantee. We keep Amy around. That's not a guarantee anymore. Like we're gonna be fighting a 60-year-old and Twyla in the end if we go to this final four. So what's our incentive to break that up?
Right.
And like statistically, you're probably gonna win this competition, right?
Right.
Like Chris and Eliza are probably better suited, but
and it's great because that's a great argument for Chris to make to her. Whereas in his mind, if he's able to get that far, I don't think he would pick her. He might, because people generally didn't like her. But why would you not pick like Scout
Right.
or Twilight? I mean, like either of those two would probably be preferable to her. I would almost say, because you get the men who've been eliminated that would vote for Chris, and then you would have people who wouldn't want to vote for Twilight or Scout based on the betrayal, you know.
Hmm.
And then somebody might, one of the women might just on principle. It's difficult to say right now, obviously, but I think especially because time will
purely based on competition. Like
Yeah.
you would probably not want to go bring Eliza to the end. You know,
yeah,
like the best odds of winning the competition would be against 60-year-old woman,
Right.
Twyla maybe.
yeah.
But yeah, it's like Amy is a tough spot there because you can't. It's hard to justify when she could definitely win out some challenges here
For sure.
and mess up their plan otherwise.
And just I think Scout put it like really well when she was just like she just has I don't remember if it was her or if it was Twyla, but she just has a way of talking to people. It was Scout, the way of like talking. She's had control over the game just because she's able to just manipulate, and like she has a way with words. She just has that natural charisma that some people just have, and I think that's just been on display this whole game, really.
Mm-hmm.
Like how else would you just solidify yourself so confidently, and like everyone just goes along with it for the most part. Like that's just it's always wild to me.
She was solid most of the game and just didn't care about or pay attention to the blind spots, and then just suddenly, like her game went from the top to the bottom real quick.
Yeah,
just crashed and burned here. So I mean, it's a tragic arc for her, but a satisfying one, I guess.
It is satisfying seeing people who are smugly feel that they're in a position of complete and utter authority to be dismantled.
But I'm always a fan of the power figures like this, even if like they're not the nicest. I like just the presence they have.
The power figures are great when they're not as like coolly smug. Like Johnny Fairplay was smug, but he was also a dick, and that made him fun.
He was actually a dick, yeah.
He was just he was kind of charisma out the wazoo, but it was in a totally different way. Or it wasn't like he was underhanded, but it was like it was an open secret, right? That everyone knew he was lying. Well, I mean, he lies, but sometimes he tells the truth, right? So like
he tells the truth sometimes too,
right? And that's why he's fun. Richard Hatch was fun because he was the person who was taking this thing the most seriously,
and he was all confessional gold too.
Yeah.
Amy wasn't so much confessional gold, like she just had a presence that seemed to like be, it like transcended the camp life. I don't know, but
yeah, it was weird. It was almost like above the game in a way. Like it was very strange.
But she didn't have that presence in confessional. She wasn't like, well, I'm a boss ass bitch, so
yeah,
people are gonna fall in line.
And that to me would have made her much more fun for me to watch personally.
Yeah,
I think her natural charisma, I think was. I mean, again, people are born with that. Like not everybody can like learn how to do that.
Mm-hmm.
But it was still like but to me, there are people like that are very off-putting to me though. In cases like this, where it's just like there's some sort of and maybe some of it was just due to editing and stuff. Obviously we don't see everything. We only see what the producers and the editors want us to see for forming the narrative. But a lot of the time, when people are generally like that, it's almost like there's a facet of their personality that's not that they're hiding from everyone to a way. I don't know if that's necessarily accurate or not, but like there is a weird, like I said, it's almost like she was above the game in a way.
Well, she is an interesting figure in that she didn't fully own up to her queen role either to the players or to the confessionals. Like she didn't. Yeah. To the players, she was always like, "No, I'm not the one to ask. I'm not running the show here." And then
and then in confessionals, she was like that too. Yeah.
Confessionals, like she had some moments where she was like showing her power, and but most of the time it would be like, "Oh, I hate this person," or just like, "Oh, she doesn't like this person." so we got to get rid of her, that kind of thing. But she was never like, I'm the Ice Queen. I mean, this is nothing to me. I can take these people out. Like they're all just
Yeah.
pawns
They're
to
the
me.
pawns in my game. Yeah, it's interesting, and I wonder if some of that is just due to like the if there was some like I mean I can't say that there wasn't that this wasn't there because it would feel like mean or disingenuous, but like I must just wonder if that was just because of the compassion that she had, the relationships that she'd formed, like kind of deluded herself in her mind that she wasn't in control when really, like, yeah, you are. Like you have ultimate control over all these people.
I mean, as much as she was the queen, she did show moments
Yeah,
of like genuine attachment to these people. Like
yeah,
Eliza, this weird thing with Eliza, where
yeah.
she was holding it, trying to hold it over her head. That like I was always looking out for you.
It
And
was,
like it's funny
yeah,
because she did vote for her last time. If she had her
yeah,
way, Eliza would be gone. But I mean, the vote before that, she did save Eliza when everybody was going to vote Eliza
yeah,
instead of Chad
yeah. He was
at
Chad.
that
Yeah,
point. And so like she did save her the round before. The
yeah,
others decided to take advantage of her vote. But I mean, ultimately, if she had her way, Eliza would be gone right now. So it's
yeah,
really weird dynamic. But she genuinely like got emotional at the end. Like there's no strategic
yeah.
sense to being emotional there. So
No, no. There was, yeah. To me, that was real. Like their connection is real, as far as I'm
really,
concerned. So that was, yeah. It is very interesting, I think. But like,
I mean, she seemed to have a genuine friendship with Julie
she,
too,
yeah. But
and
it's just the older ladies she doesn't like.
oh, and Leanne. I mean, yeah. So
Yeah, Leanne was her right hand woman. Bum 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 bum.
yeah,
But yeah, so all that was just very interesting. We get to see a cool reward. I thought the top three thing was really neat. They don't really do that super often. It's usually a pick someone to go with you.
yeah, which is generally the more interesting way to go because you have like some sort of
There's
politics
a
strategizing involved.
there's a strategic semblance there, but yes, I see them do something a little different every once in a while.
Yeah, so you can
So
so you can fight for that third place spot. At least you have incentive to fight for that.
hmm.
So Chris is to Julie like, you really want this? Yeah. Oh, me too. Cool. Let's go.
All right, let's fight. Yeah, it was like that was a little weird.
It's like
Yeah,
he's
you
about to
almost
offer up a gesture. But
again to me that's almost like he was going to offer her something and then he realized while he was saying it, no,
yeah.
I'm not. I wanted to because I know there have been times where stuff like that happens with me. Not like in that specific thing, but like I start saying something expecting me to decide on something, and then I end up going the complete opposite direction with myself, with my
It's
internal
like
conversation.
you want my fries? Yeah, I do. Me too.
Yeah,
I'll
yeah,
just
me
eat them
too.
anyway.
No, I want it. Or it's like, oh no, I'm not hungry for that piece of cake. Oh really? It's the last one. Here, have this. On second thoughts, no, I do want it.
Oh, so I can have it? No, I'll take it actually.
Yeah.
That's what he did.
Yeah.
She's like, "Oh, you don't mind if I take the cake, do you?"
No, I do.
I
Kind
do
of.
mind.
Yeah.
Yeah. So then we
um,
went down to a shuffleboard immunity challenge.
the
Amy was
islands
probably
of.
pissed.
I couldn't come up with any mini game names this time. I called that the Islands of Shuffle.
I mean, a little puck you.
Fuck you. Or
Puck.
there was Sema 3 because they
What?
were collecting flags. Semaphore is like flag communication. So, but it was Sema 3 because there were three flags that they were going down.
Hmm.
So it wasn't Semaphore, but Sema 3. It wasn't good. I couldn't come up with anything good this time.
Well, Chris wins the shuffleboard immunity.
He did.
I mean, I feel like any other competition, Amy would be more suited for it. So she was probably annoyed this is the one she had to go out on. But
Mm,
like, because she can do physical stuff, she can do
yeah, she's very
she can do
active.
smart stuff. But it's like shuffleboard. It's like
Mm,
some skill, but it's kind of like
it's fine motor
it
skills.
levels the playing field a bit.
She didn't play enough
enough
video games,
Damn it! Shoot. You always have to play some video games for
Um,
preparation.
I will say, Eliza's eyes this episode were just, she was,
They're big.
they were big.
Her bones in the back.
Her bones and her shoulder blades just poking through.
Looking particularly nice this evening.
Your shoulder blades look particularly nice this evening,
strong.
my lady.
They're very, very noticeable shoulder blades. Couldn't help but notice.
I couldn't help but notice your shoulder blades, my lady.
Protruding. Quite well.
All right, let's get off of that conversation. That's pretty much it.
So we're down to final 5, baby.
We are.
What a ragtag group of heroes we have here. We have
ragtag group of heroes.
We have Chris, Scout, Twyla, Eliza, and Julie.
Yeah.
What a group.
What
a group of misfits.
What a crew.
That's the beauty of Survivors. Like, these people would never interact in a group setting. Right?
No.
You'd never see these people together.
Twyla and Scout maybe, but...
And especially, like, this end game, where it's like, this group with so much history into it just came together for this vote, and now it's like, that makes up most of what we got here. So we have, like, this tension, and like, it's not all happy-go-lucky group here,
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of ways. What's interesting to me about this, there's still a lot of ways that this can go. I mean, I guess you could say that about that every year, because, I mean, look what happened with Amazon. But that being said as well, crazy things can happen. So
all have had very interesting paths to where they are here. Very different paths. So what would be your power rankings for the final 5 here?
Power rankings, that would be Chris,
number 1.
Chris, Scout. No. Chris, Eliza, wildly enough. I think she cemented herself in a pretty good position right now. Scout, Twyla, Julie. Even though Scout got voted twice, I still think she's in kind of an odd position where it's like, give or take. She still has a lot of influence on thinking in the game.
Well, it's like, will Scout be someone they drag to the end because she cannot win a competition?
Right.
And like, is that worthy of like being high in the rankings? I don't know, because
I don't know either. It's hard to say. Twyla. The thing about Twyla is I might switch it and put Twyla up higher, because Twyla is in probably the most volatile position where she could go up or down. Whereas Scout is kind of like she's sort of like the tag along.
But it's like, by virtue of not being able to win a competition, I don't know. Like, that can help her, and that they'll might take her to the end, but because she can't keep herself safe.
Let's just keep it where it is. Keep it where I said it.
Chris, Eliza, Scout, Twyla, Julie. Chris, what a rags to riches story.
I know, I know, right? What a wild scenario.
Standing.
Yeah.
Top of the power rankings.
That's right. I
mean, like, if you put odds on like winning a competition, like, he's surrounded himself with like not so great competition, like so he could win some of these for sure. There's only a few challenges left to the end, so it could be important. Final 5. Who would you give your MVP award to for the episode?
Eliza.
Eliza. Okay.
Yeah, Eliza. She stuck to her. She stuck to the plan.
Stuck to the plan. Yeah.
She stuck to the plan, and also because she's just really pretty.
Wow.
But
that's crazy. It's crazy that Queen Amy will walk away with no MVP awards unless she really makes her presence known in the finale.
I mean, maybe she could pull a friggin' Sue,
iconic speech or a iconic couple of words in the reunion show.
Yeah,
get her an MVP.
Could
but
potentially.
Amy was so present in the season. You never had love for Amy. No love
I didn't. I'm sorry. No, get out of here.
I stand Amy. I honestly did. She was.
You stand Amy, or you stand? You stand.
I cannot stand.
I cannot.
I stood Amy.
You stood her. Okay.
She was.
You stood her up that night, long ago.
Amy and Scout are both part of the LGBT community, and she
it's kind of wild.
Jab at the end there. She's like.
Yeah.
Your true colors will show, and they're no part of any rainbow I've ever seen.
Yeah, that was kind of that was almost like a friggin' like next quote. You know that show Next?
Next, yes.
That
Next.
was that was almost like one of those stupid little phrases. Like it felt like scripted. Someone fed her that line. Like, oh, that whole show is scripted. So,
Right.
like very upfront. There's none of that show that's real.
This is,
But
Next was what a show. What an era of MTV
entertainment.
that
That was garbage, but it was entertaining garbage.
was. Like I think it's just because my sister used to watch all those kinds of shows all the time. So I've like so much
The Real
exposure
World.
to that at the time. Yeah, like Next and all these weird dating shows they have.
Yo Mama.
Was that
Do you remember that one?
Jokes one?
Yeah,
Like,
literally the
yeah.
entire show was just Yo Mama jokes, and it was not good.
What,
That one
How to
wasn't
Be
even.
Alive.
That one wasn't even like passingly entertaining. It was like that's the whole show. Like you can't form a whole show off of Yo Mama jokes. I'm sorry.
Off of Yo
You
Mama.
You can try, but only Yo Mama would think that would be a good idea.
So who I'm curious who you're rooting for. Well, I mean, we're not quite in the finale, but we're
No, I don't know. I kind of like the idea of all of these people. Well, Scout maybe less so.
Who would you be not satisfied as a winner?
Scout. I mean, I am kind of with Amy there. Her winning makes like no sense to me, but I think her being around, you know, is like that's fine. But that being said, she has been a strategic, despite the fact that she's just kind of like the old witch lady.
She is cursed.
That we've been joking.
Plays spells strategically throughout the season.
We've been joking about where my favorite spell that she cast was the one when she was singing to Sarge. That was probably that might be my favorite moment of the whole season.
Imagine her
so
final
far.
tribal. She's like, "Let me weave you a tale of the spells I placed this season. I was ultimately responsible for all of your demise."
Yeah, it like pans out and she's like a DM and this is a D&D campaign. She's running.
It's like, "Oh, Sarge, you thought I had nothing to do with your undoing? Well,
it tis turned out that I weaved some magic. Some dark spells with the volcano."
It just like it ends in a standing ovation, unanimous vote. Like you can't deny the magic she just put on display.
Oh.
So Scout, you wouldn't be happy with?
I probably not as much as the rest.
Well, let's see.
But any of the other four would be really exciting.
Julie?
I think
You would be down for Julie.
Yeah. Julie has kind of been coasting, and I think she's cool. She seems like a really swell person. Like I don't know. I mean, I would actually maybe put her here even below Scout.
I go to a wild warehouse party in Detroit with her.
We won't get into that. But
Eliza, you'd be down for Eliza to win?
Yeah, totally.
Chris?
Yeah, Chris
win?
Chris is probably the person I'm rooting for the most. I want to say, just because like
as a fellow guy,
as a fellow man, the odds were against him, and he
just like in society.
Just
you can't help but root for the underdog.
We're not. Yeah, the man in this situation. Yeah, we're not gonna touch that. Not touching that with a 10-foot pole.
And Twyla.
Twyla would be interesting too. I think.
We got a lot of interesting people here. Yeah.
Yeah.
Also,
That's what I mean. I love this cast. I think we've talked about it a few times, but like this cast, even like from the merge, even before merge, at some points, but especially like at the merge, we were like, this is like what a great group of people this is. You know.
Yeah. Yeah.
So.
And that leaves only one episode left before the finale, so we're like...
Wow, we're right there.
Right there. So stay tuned. Come back next week for that.
Yeah.
Episode 13. And thanks for watching. What video would you recommend our viewers watch after this one?
Go check out our review of Wolf versus Bear. You really like survival situations... If you like Survivor,
Scout reminds me of Bear in a lot of ways.
Which Bear? Usurper Bear?
Usurper, yeah. What was
I'm trying to remember what the terminology they used was. There was not King Bear. What I don't even remember what they called him. Like
I think it was King Bear.
Was it?
And then what's the word?
Dethroned?
No, it was a nicer word. deposed.
Oh yeah, deposed.
Deposed bear.
Deposed bear.
Didn't they depose? Yeah.
Yeah, they deposed.
She reminds me of deposed bear in a lot of ways. But yeah, wolf versus bear was one to remember for sure.
That was an adventure.
So thank you for watching. Subscribe to the channel, subscribe to our podcast feed, like the video, leave a comment, hit the notification bell, follow us on Twitter and Instagram, and like us on Facebook, Tarqaron TWO. All right.
I'm very tired.